Hello! In this video I'm going to talk you through how to set up your Windows 10 system for Python development with Eclipse, PyDev and Python. So before we get started, you're going to want to have both Java installed, so the latest version of the JDK. You can download that from the Oracle webpage, or if you just Google JDK download, it will be the first result here. So you want to install that, and secondly, you want to install Eclipse. So I'm using Eclipse Neon in this video. The steps are pretty much the same for most versions of Eclipse. From Eclipse Luna, I believe, was the last time I did this, but I think it's pretty standard throughout. But I recommend that you get the latest version of Eclipse, Eclipse Neon, as it will have the latest features and be the most up to date. So once you've downloaded Java, the JDK and Eclipse, you can then go and download Python. So I'm going to start this guide from downloading Python. I'm going to show you how to download Python, install Python on Windows 10, and how to then install PyDev, which is the Python development plugin for Eclipse that allows you to develop Python applications using Eclipse. So first thing you're going to want to do is head over to python.org, and we're going to download Python 3.5.2. So I now started using doing everything in Python 3 because it's the latest version and it's going to be the one that's supported from now on. So I recommend that you install Python 3. So if you click on the latest here, you can scroll down and you can see the files. And in the files, you want the Windows x86 to 64 executable installer. This is going to give you an installer which you can basically just double click and run the Python installer to get it installed. So once you've got that downloaded, you just click the file to download it. It will start. I'm going to cancel this because I already have it downloaded and I don't want to wait for the file to download. But once you have that downloaded, you can simply just double click on the Python 3.5.2 installer and it will pop up with this screen here. So on the first screen, this is very important. You're going to want to click Add Python 3.5 to path. So what that does is it adds it to the system path, so that when you go into command prompt or you go into whatever like terminal application you want to use, you can just type Python and it will work without you having to type the full URL of the Python executable. So and it also, Eclipse is going to depend on it being added to the path when we come to install it later. So make sure that's checked and click install now. If the user account control screen comes, I'll just click yes, and then let the setup progress. This will take a few seconds to install Python. So this is going to install Python 3 on our system, and it's going to set our system up for to be able to use Python. So the installation is coming on. It shouldn't take too long. It's fairly lightweight, so should only take a couple of minutes to install this. And we are almost there. There you go. Setup was successful. So now that that's done, you can click on close. And just to verify that it's installed, if you go to start and you type CMD in the search and you load up command prompt, you can type Python, and you can see that our Python screen is loaded a Python terminal. So if you type print test, it will print test on the screen. So we can close that. Now we know that Python is installed and working. The next step, we are going to install PyDev into Eclipse. So I already have Eclipse installed here. If you don't have it installed already, then go and download that from the Eclipse website and just run the installer and install the latest version of Eclipse. It doesn't matter if you go for the standard or enterprise version, it's going to have everything. We're going to add extra packages to it anyway. So I recommend installing the Enterprise Edition one for Java development. That seems to be the one that has the most features, but if you already have one installed that is just a standard install, then you can just leave that. So first step is to load Eclipse. So if you double click it, see this lovely Eclipse Neon sign loads. And I'm going to leave my workspace in my home directory /workspace, that's Eclipse. You can click on use this as a default so it doesn't ask you every time, and click OK. Now Eclipse Neon is going to load. It takes a few seconds for it to load. And here you can see the welcome screen of Eclipse. If you've already used it, then it may look different to this, but it will look something like this, where you have your file and your different windows here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that to the side there like that, and I'm going to load up a browser window. Do this. This is a great feature of Windows 10 that you can snap the browsers like that. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to search for PyDev install. And the first result is the PyDev Manual 101 install. And this is going to tell us exactly how to install PyDev. But when we're going to just come down to this bit here, this is what we want here. We want the available sites, the available update sites, which is kind of like the repository for updates in Eclipse. So this is what we're interested in here. This http www.pydev.org/updates. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to Eclipse and we're going to click on help, and then we're going to click on install new software. So we want to install the PyDev plugin into Eclipse so that we can start building Python apps in Eclipse. So the first thing to do is we need to add the software site to Eclipse. So if you look here, it has a drop down with a bunch of existing ones in here. So we're going to click add, and it's going to ask us for a name. We're going to call it doesn't really matter what you put the name as, but it's good to put it as something that you'll be able to recognize later, so in case you need to change it or remove it. So I'm just going to call it PyDev updates, and then you copy this URL. You can copy the nightly build one, but this can be unstable because this is the release that isn't the stable version. The main one is the one that should be tested and ready to work. So I always just stick with the main one, especially if I'm doing it for work, because I like it to be reliable as opposed to have the latest features. So if you paste that into location and then you click on OK, now you should see that we get the options for PyDev and the PyDev Mylin integration. I think that's how you say it, Mylin. We only need the PyDev, so let's just check PyDev and all of its sub options, and we'll click next. So this is going to connect to this URL, and it's going to pull down all the necessary data, and this is what it looks like if you just go to the browser. Nothing to see here. It's going to pull down all the necessary information for it to be for Eclipse to install this plugin. So you can see here that it's asking us to review the items that we're going to install. So it's a PyDev for Eclipse and the PyDev for Eclipse developer resource. We'll just leave them and just click on next. And now it's asking us to accept the agreement. So read it thoroughly, make sure you have a lawyer, check it out, just in case there's anything in there that might catch you out later. And then click on I accept and finish. And now it's going to install. And if this security warning comes up saying that it's unsigned content, you can just click on OK, because that just comes up because these certificates aren't trusted by Eclipse yet. So if we just click on, you got to tick that, the brainwise software, and then you click OK, and then Eclipse can go and it can download all of the necessary files into Eclipse. So once that's done, it's going to ask, it's going to say you'll need to restart Eclipse for the changes to take effect. Let's click on yes. Now Eclipse is going to restart, and you've got Eclipse Neon come up again, because we checked the box to not ask us again what the workspace is. It will choose that by default. And now the Eclipse plugin is installed. but where is it? What do we do next? Well, what you need to do is you need to open the perspective for PyDev. So if you click on Window, click on Perspective, click on Open Perspective, and then Other, and in here you can see the PyDev perspective. Okay, so now that's done, you can go ahead and start working on your Python project. So just show you quickly, if you go, let's show that again, File, New, PyDev project. If we type hello project, and it says initially that our interpreter not specified. That's because we need to say it here. So we're going to choose the ground version 3 to 3.5. And it's going to say, please configure an interpreter before proceeding. If you click on that link, it's going to ask us, do you want a manual config or auto config or advanced config? We're going to choose quick auto config. And because we set the Python path and everything in Windows, because we checked that box at the beginning, that allowed us to use the auto config, which worked very quickly. So yeah, that's it. That's how you create your project, and then you can just go ahead and start developing Python apps, awesome Python apps. So yeah, let me know how you get on. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to leave them in the comments of this video. And thank you for watching. Bye.